Alright, let's just have a very quick introductory look at a microscope, the parts of a microscope. What we have here is a compound microscope, also known as a monocular microscope. Remember, mono meaning one. This is called a monocular microscope because it has only one eyepiece. It's also called a compound microscope because we have multiple different lenses down here that we can observe our specimens. So a compound microscope, also known as a monocular microscope. So down near the base of the microscope here, the first thing we might notice is this right here. That's because these days we have technology, and what we do is we plug our microscopes in, we turn them on, and that is our light source. Now back in the day, instead of an electronic light source like this, we had a mirror, and we would just have to orientate the mirror towards the window to get the best light reflected up, because these are of course using light. What we want to do is the light comes up through this hole in the stage, through the lenses, up through the barrel and into our eyes. But like I say, these days we have a nice electronic light source there. Switch for this one is simply at the back of the microscope right there. So as I mentioned, we have a stage. I mentioned this because I said we have a hole in the stage for the light to pass through. So this is the stage. This is where we put the microscope slides, the specimens that we're going to be observing. Now I mentioned before that this is a compound microscope because we have multiple lenses. These lenses on this revolving nose piece are referred to as objective lenses. These are the objectives, and each one is a different magnification. The smallest one is usually about a 4 times magnification. This one here, we can see a 40 times, and this middle one a 10 times. So we have a 4 times, a 10 times, and a 40 times magnification objective lens. Sometimes there's an empty spot on the revolving nose piece, and that's for a special lens called an oil immersion lens. But what you'd find in general high schools is a 4, a 10, and a 40 times objective. Now, as I mentioned, the light comes up through those objective lenses, through the barrel, and to the eyepiece. Now, the eyepiece is actually magnified as well, often 10 times, sometimes 12.5. We can see this lens is actually a 10 times magnification. What this means is that on this lens here, and that was the 4 times, what you're observing isn't actually magnified times 4. It's magnified times 40 because we need to take the magnification of the objective lens and we multiply that by whatever the magnification is on the eyepiece. So that gives our total magnification. So the strongest magnification on this microscope, the objective lens is 40, but we multiply that by the eyepiece. So we can actually multiply 400 times with this microscope here. Now, you look down through the eyepiece and things are not magically going to be in focus. That's a bit of a manual job. You're going to have to do some focusing on your own. We have 2 knobs here. Sometimes microscopes have them in the same place. The smaller knob sticks out of the larger knob. This has 2 separate ones, so that's fine. What you'll find is that the larger knob is called the coarse focus. That's the one that you would start with to get you in the ballpark of, yeah, it's pretty focused, it's trying to be sharp focus, and then you move to the smaller knob, which is the fine focus. So these are just a simple matter of turning these up or down. Now you'll note the stage is moving up or down. So you turn the knob, and when you turn the small one, the stage doesn't move very much at all, because that's your fine focus. Okay, so first you use the coarse focus, and then the fine focus to get your image nice and sharp. Now on the stage we can see these clips here. I'll just move these objective lenses around to make more space so we can see. These clips are what you would put your slide under, your microscope slide, put them underneath this to hold the slide in place. That's their job. What I tend to do is get them out of the way. Not just me, a lot of people do this. Just push them to the back, get them out of the way. And this means that when your specimen slide is on the stage, you can move it around. If it's not actually clipped in place, as you're looking from behind the microscope here, you just use your thumb and you can move it left and right and up and down. So you can move your specimen around the stage until you get the best view. It's a bit tricky to do that if your slide is actually clipped into place. So a common practice is just to throw those out of the way. Some microscopes, once you've got your slide locked in place, they actually have a couple of dials here, and you can turn the dials, and that moves the stage, the whole stage, with the slide stuck to it, forward and back and left and right. But in a case like this microscope, you would be moving your slide around manually with your thumb or your fingers. Now, I also did mention you observe from behind the microscope. This barrel with the eyepiece actually swivels around. You wouldn't generally do this, because as you are looking down through the eyepiece, your face is right here, you're breathing right here, and so you might get some condensation or something like that simply from breathing on the slide. So you observe from behind the microscope. The reason that this does swivel is if you find something and you want to show someone, you could just very briefly say, hey, have a look at this. They could observe from the side. But in general, you observe from behind the microscope. Now, these focusing knobs, we use them to focus, first the coarse focus, then the fine focus, but remember it's moving the stage up or down. What you need to do is first lift the stage up, and then you focus by moving the stage down. All right, you don't just start here, okay, let's focus, and move the stage up. Now, this is because what if you had a larger lens there? Let's move around to this side so we can see it more clearly. And the stage was down here. Okay, you put your slide on the stage, and then you start focusing, and you're moving the stage up. What can happen if you're not careful is that you move the stage up too close to that objective lens, and that smashes the glass slide that you have. That's not what we want. So you would put your slide on the stage first with the stage quite high, and then focus by moving the stage away from the objective lens. It's just a safety thing so we don't go breaking the glass slides. All right, what else do we need to cover? I think that's about all. Actually, one very important thing. This is called the arm, and that's the base. And the very important thing is, well, how do you carry a microscope? The arm, the base, both together. You don't just rock around holding it one-handed like this. Please don't treat a microscope like this. Definitely don't grab it by the top. These eyepieces come out, so don't just hold it by the eyepiece. The rest of the microscope will smash on the ground. Hold it by the arm and your other hand underneath the base. So carry it with two hands when you're walking around the lab, please. And that, I guess, is a basic introduction to a compound microscope. Well, that's the video done. If you liked it, brilliant. Hit the like button and leave me a comment too. Now you know what to do. Go hit that subscribe button. We'll see you next time.